Hi friends. So it's been a couple of weeks since I told you that I was starting with the Clean Armor UV cured finish. And I've spent a bunch of time over the course of the last 2 weeks learning, practicing, and getting to where I've got a finish applied to my products that I'm going to be confident sending out the door to my customers. So what I started with was a hard maple door that I built. I've got 7 of them. I don't know. 4 for the bifolds, then 2 flat panel, and 1's going to be a full light glass for the pantry. But they're all hard maple. And I went through and did what I typically do, traditionally do, always do, and sanded everything out to 120. Stopped at 120, and then did a spray application of my stain color. After the stain dried for roughly an hour, I started with my first spray applications of the Clean Armor 710 sealer, which is what I got from the Blue Cure people in South Carolina. Cannot say enough good things about Blue Cure, and I will continue to during this entire video. So the learning involved how much sealer to apply over the top of the stain color so that you can sand back your grain rays, your dust nibs, anything that occurs when you throw the moisture to the wood. The stain is moisture. It's very light bodied, extremely high VOCs, but there's still moisture in it, so it goes through the first rays. And you can't sand at that point because you've only got color. There's nothing binding the color to the wood. So you come to your first applications of sealer. When I was doing solvent-based, I would put my stain down, allow it to dry, and then 2 or 3 coats of sanding sealer. Once I'd achieved that, then I could sand out the rays, the dust, and anything to get back to a smooth product. That's what your sanding sealer is for. Then I would be ready for my typical finish application, whatever that was going to be. So I went through with 3 and at some points greatly reduced coats of sealer. And I'll tell you about the reduction now because I went through and reduced an awful lot more than the manufacturer recommends. Those of us that finish probably have a lot of similar thoughts about manufacturers and products. They want you to only reduce up to 10%, up to 15%, up to 20%. You're putting more carrier into the product is all you're doing. Most times you're not going to alter them too much to the point where you're going to cause a corruption when they cure out. So I wanted more reduction because I wanted the product to flow out more even. I wanted to spray it out and look at this glass smooth surface before I turned the lights on to cure. So I went as high as 50%. I went higher than 50%. I was trying it. I was trying to learn. I was trying to see what I could do. I was trying to see what the product would do. High reduction and spray out my coat. The leveling and the surface, I mean, the reflection was glass smooth and it was quick. It was exactly what I thought that I was after. I set the gun down and I turned the light on, and some of it cured out okay. And some of it left this nasty wrinkle. I had patches of wrinkle that were this big. And they're very, very challenging to sand out without sanding all the way into your color. The product is extremely hard. It sands well, but it's very hard. So to get anything gone that you don't want there, what we guess was occurring that I had alcohol trapped using the proper alcohol to reduce the product under the instruction of the people at Blue Cure. 30%, 40%, 50%, 50% and higher. Too much alcohol, not going to harm the product, still going to function as it should, but I needed to try to give it time for the alcohol to flash off before I would turn the lights on and get into the curing section at either edge of the door, because I was reduced too much. So I've learned through this job that all of these finishes now are reduced to 30%. The bottle itself, everything that you buy in the sealer and in the finish is 100% solids. So you don't need to put that much on to have your build occur. And I'm measuring it out accurately with a digital scale. I'm not screwing around. I'm not saying that looks like 30%, that looks like 40%. Everything is set up by fluid volume on the scale and mixed accordingly. And I'm doing it the same so that it's repetitive, so that it's the same thing. So if I spray something over here, it's going to look the same as what I sprayed over there. So spray the first coats of sealer down, cure it out. Spray another coat of sealer down, cure it out. Spray another coat of sealer down, cure it out, because we want some product in between us and the stain color before we start sanding, which is what was traditionally done with the solvent-based sanding sealer. I'm going to tell you what, this product is hard. It does sand very well, but it is hard. So when the stain and then the first coats of this brought up the grain rays and the dust particles and anything else that's going to be a corruption in the surface, you got 3 coats of 710 sealer on it, you've got your work cut out for you. It's going to take some doing to get that to a smooth and ready for finish piece. So I machine sanded with the 6-inch random orbit with 320 on it first, 320 Mirka Abranet. And that was pretty good on the stiles and rails. But the plywood, the maple plywood in the center, had the most rays, as plywood usually does. Those were a problem. One, my 6-inch wouldn't fit in there. It wouldn't get into the corners. And the product is so hard, it was going to take a month and a half to get it sanded back to smooth. So I stepped from 320 and started doing hand sanding in there with, again, a disc, because that's all I had at the time. But I went back to 240, which is pretty aggressive for finishing. But that cut everything back quickly enough that I wasn't spending 2 and 3 hours sanding just one door. I was able to go through in 5 minutes or less and sand out one of these rectangular panels. 240 cut it really, really quickly. Since that worked really well, got a plug for Festool here, because this is actually a Festool sanding block. I'm not shy about admitting that I am, in fact, a Festool snob. Not entirely, not completely, and not completely faithfully, but I do love my Festool. So I bought Abranet in 320 grit in a rectangular sheet, which will fit well on my little sanding block. And again, they didn't offer 240 where I was looking, but they did have 220. So thinking as long as you keep it under control, 220 is going to cut anything major that you have to get rid of in a hurry. After the 220, I'll go back with the 320 so that my scratch everywhere is uniform. So that took care of the 3-coat version. So right now, I'm back to 30%. Still doing it on the scale. Every time I mix, it's going to be on the scale because I want it accurate. I want to repeat it. I'm spraying at a very low air pressure, just enough to atomize the material in a very small pattern so that I can keep it under control. We're not talking pinpoint. We're talking about maybe 4 or 5 inches of spray width. And I catch the door from end to end in one direction, and I go around to the other side, do the same thing in the other direction, so I'm making sure that I get all of the vertical surfaces while I'm doing it. So it's 2 sprays per application, one from that side, one from this side. And at 30%, you come back over here, set the gun down, cover it up and protect it from light, and flip the overhead light on. The 4-foot overhead light I've got on the gantry that I built that is holding the fixture 5 feet above the surface of what I'm trying to cure. I have it turned back to 20% intensity because at full intensity I was having some of that wrinkling occur even when I wasn't reduced beyond what they had recommended. So slower, less intense, better cure. I have not, since I turned back to 20%, I have not seen a corruption that I had caused a number of while I was still learning. Am still learning. The 4-foot light goes on over the top, and while that's happening, I take my 18-inch handheld, turn it on, and I catch the edges of the door. And at 30%, the material will hang quite nicely, so I can look at the glass smooth surface that I'm trying to cure out, and as patiently as possible, walk up and down, and I raise a little bit so I can catch the vertical surfaces that are here and here while I'm doing this door edge, curing out here and here. And I'll catch those verticals, and I catch these verticals, and I'll catch the door end, and so on, until I'm satisfied that everything's cured out. You can find it, very light touch. You'll feel immediately how smooth everything is. It'll be just a silky smooth. It'll have the hand that you want your finish to. It feels silky smooth. So what I've come back to now is one application of the 710 sealer. Again, these are 100% solids in this bottle. Clean Armor is 100% solids in the bottle. So one application over the top of the stain, then random orbit 320 on the stiles and rails, and take a 320 disc on my block sander and catch all of these internal flat panels. Clean it off. Once I had it silky smooth like that, I took and sprayed out another coat of the 710 sealer over the top of my first coat and set my gun down, went back and flipped the lights on, grabbed the handheld, cured it out. So now I've got 2 coats of 710. The first one got sanded, the second one laid out like glass. And I'm going to insert a couple of photographs in this to show you exactly what that looked like when I was onto the second coat of 710. Cured that out, same way, flip the 4-foot. Once I was done with the second coat of 710 and curing it out, I carried the door back over here, left it set for 10 minutes. After you cure, you're not supposed to sand for 10 minutes. So give it that time, and then you can go at it with the sandpaper. So the second coat of 710 got cut back with 320 again. Machine over here, and hand over here, and hand on all of the moldings. And then I was to the point where I was ready for finish. Cleaned it off, put the door back over there on the horses, mixed up the Universal 235, which was the recommendation of the people at Blue Cure for what I was doing. And I've got that reduced at 30% as well. Again, mixed on a scale. Not going to mess around. Mixed on a scale so everything is the same so that I can repeat it over and over again. So Mix very, very well because this does have, I believe the flatteners are silica. I'm not 100% certain, but they're floating in the emulsion. They're not chemical. They're not dissolved, into the product. So keep it mixed like you would with any satin or any matte, but mixed very, very well, filtered into the cup, which the cup also has a filter in it, and gone over and spray applied to the door. Same light pressure, same smallish pattern from one direction, and then go to the other side of the door and spray it again from the other direction. Come back over here, set the cup in the holder, cover it up to protect it from the light, walk back over, turn the light on. This is what the light looks like. There's your overhead, and I'm over here with the handheld doing what I'm doing to get the cure out taken care of. And it's fun to watch, and it's very fast. And, you can tell, you can touch while you're doing it to see whether, you think you're cured, give it a touch. I do every edge all the way. Drag the fingers. What does it feel like? If you did not cure out well, it's going to catch you. It'll be tacky. Once you're fully cured, you're done. That's it. It's over with. If the coat looks good, it's done. It's over with. You can deliver now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait a day. You don't have to wait. Typically with my solvents, I was waiting 3, 4 hours, 5 hours before I could touch a piece like this, because if you picked it up and carried it, you were going to leave thumbprints and handprints in it because you're still going to move the plastics that you left on the surface. That's how long it takes. You don't achieve with lacquer, you don't achieve full cure for a month. So even if you wait a week to 10 days for it to flash off, you can deliver a product and still notice the odor of the VOCs. You're still going to off-gas in your client's home. Not going to happen with this. Because once you're done cured, you're done cured. It's fantastic. I can't say enough good things about Blue Cure and the people in South Carolina that run this show, the guys that make it, because they answer the phone every time that I call. Every problem that I had during the last, I wasn't picking up the phone every 10 minutes. I might have called 3 or 4 times. Going off of memory, I didn't write it down. They answer the phone every single time. They gave me a conversation about what was going on, and I had great input and great help from Blue Cure. This door has 3 coats of finish on it. It's got the first coat that I messed up because it was overly reduced. I sanded that back, got it to smooth again. Now I'm into the 30% reduction and sprayed it out. And I generally liked how it looked, but I had some unevenness in the sheen level. That might have been me. That might have been uneven spray. I don't know exactly what it was, but it caused me to sand it out again and apply another coat of the finish, just so that I had the uniformity, the feel, and the look that I was after. But I'm going to say it's on me. I enjoyed all of the process except for the time that I had to spend grinding these panels back to anything even remotely close to smooth. But that was part of learning. It's not the same as a solvent-based. You've got 100% solids in your bottle, so you don't need 3 applications to achieve the same level of solid between you and the stain that you would with a solvent-based sanding sealer. So all in all, I had an awful lot of fun. I learned a great deal, and I'm going to continue using Clean Armor and dealing with purchasing from Blue Cure as far as I can see into the future. Thanks.